Have you ever carried within you the haunting sensation of being invisible? That bitter moment when your words are not heard, your gestures go unnoticed, and your very presence seems to have no weight in the eyes of someone who should recognize your essence? It feels as if your heart is crying out in a loud voice, yet the world around you is utterly deaf. And in that silence, an emptiness begins to open inside the soul, slowly, painfully, like a void that demands to be filled. Many people, when confronted with this pain, choose to explode. They respond with shouting, arguments, and desperate attempts to prove that they deserve respect. Others, perhaps even more deeply wounded, fall into silence. Not the silence of strength, but the silence of resignation. They surrender to invisibility and quietly accept a life of being ignored, unseen, diminished. But there is another way, a third path. A path that is neither submission nor aggression. It is a path of silence, yet a silence so firm, so grounded, and so powerful that it transforms everything around it. Today, I want to speak with you about 9 powerful attitudes that, when practiced, do more than disarm those who try to diminish your value. They awaken within you a force you may not even realize you possess. These attitudes are not cheap tricks. They are not quick formulas. They are timeless principles rooted in the deep wisdom of the human psyche. They act like mirrors. When you practice them, you not only reflect your true greatness to others, but you also begin to see with clarity what has always lived within you. The unshakable capacity to remain whole, even when the world tries to fragment you. And the very first of these attitudes is the one that most unsettles and terrifies those who attempt to wound you, the power of silence. Now understand this clearly. The silence I'm speaking of is not the absence of response. It is not passivity. It is an action, a choice, a gesture loaded with power. It is the silence that stares straight into provocation, yet refuses to dance to someone else's tune. It is the silence that turns you into a living presence, calm, unshaken, immovable in the middle of the storm. When someone expects you to explode, and instead you remain calm, they are forced to face something they do not understand, your inner freedom. And nothing is more disturbing to someone who seeks control than realizing they do not have power over you. This is why silence, when practiced with awareness, is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It is the quiet declaration that you are not a puppet on the strings of another person's expectations. And so, if you wish to dive deeper into this journey of empowerment, I invite you right now. Subscribe to this channel, Unshakable Mindset. Here, you will not find empty motivational cliches. You will find reflections designed to awaken your deepest psychological strength. But more than that, I want you to make a declaration, publicly and inwardly. Leave a comment with this affirmation: I choose the strength of silence. By writing those words, you are not only sending a message to the world, you are imprinting a decision deep within yourself. You will no longer be imprisoned by the expectations of others. Think about this. Every time someone provokes you, there is always a hidden expectation. They expect you to snap. They expect the outburst. They expect the angry reaction that proves they succeeded in pulling your strings. But when you refuse to play their game, when you stand rooted in silence, something extraordinary happens. You break the invisible dynamic that feeds their provocation. You demonstrate subtly but undeniably that your worth does not depend on their approval, their recognition, or their validation. This is the most unsettling truth for those who try to destabilize you. They realize that your confidence does not rest in their hands. It is rooted in something unshakable within yourself. That kind of Confidence is untouchable. It is like a rock in the middle of the sea. Waves may crash against it, storms may rage around it, but the rock does not move. And here lies the first great transformation. When you choose silence, you do not only change how others perceive you, you change how you perceive yourself. Inside, something awakens. A peace begins to rise, a peace you may have never felt before. That desperate need to prove yourself, to argue, to justify, suddenly it dissolves, because you finally understand. Your worth is not in the words you speak, nor in the arguments you win. Your worth is in the serenity with which you live your own truth. Now reflect with me. How many times have you wasted your energy in battles that never truly needed to be fought? How many times have you tried to explain yourself to someone who from the very beginning had no intention of seeing your truth? These endless debates are traps, emotional prisons designed to drain you. And silence is the key that unlocks the door to walk away free. So remember this, when you choose silence, you are not avoiding the fight, you are transcending it. You are refusing to let your life be dictated by someone else's chaos. And in that choice, you reclaim your power. The next time someone tries to diminish you, imagine this simple act of remaining calm as if it were an invisible sword. You are not fighting back with words, you are not wasting energy with explanations, you are simply demonstrating with unshakable presence that nothing external has the power to define who you are. And that right there is true psychological power, when the world expects your reaction, and you, sovereign over yourself, choose not to react. The mastery of emotional balance. Picture yourself in a very real situation. You're in a meeting. Someone makes a sarcastic remark about your work. Eyes turn toward you, waiting for your defense, your comeback, maybe even your anger. But instead, you take a slow breath. Look calmly at the situation and remain silent for a few moments. That brief instant, tiny in time but immense in impact, changes everything. You are not being passive. You are exercising the highest degree of mastery, control over yourself. Most people believe that reacting immediately is a sign of strength, but don't be deceived. More often than not, a quick reaction is not power at all. It is emotional slavery. It is proof that you are being ruled by someone else's actions instead of by your own inner center. Silence, on the other hand, is living evidence that you are the master of your emotions. This is precisely what Stoicism teaches. Real strength is not found in raising your voice, but in remaining serene in the face of provocation. Now imagine a burning ember. If you blow on it, the fire grows. If you ignore it, the fire dies. Provocations are those embers. Your reaction is the breath, and silence is the choice to withhold the air that feeds the flame. Inner transformation. This principle goes far beyond how you deal with others. When you choose silence and emotional balance, something inside of you also begins to shift. Your mind clears. Your energy, once drained by useless arguments, redirects itself toward what truly matters. Your soul, once fractured by the endless hunger for validation, finally rests in the certainty that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. That is liberation. It feels as though, for the first time, you are walking through the world unchained, no longer dragging invisible chains tied to the opinions of others. And here's the secret. When you reach this inner state, others notice. They begin to look at you differently. They sense that it is not easy to shake your calm. They feel that you carry within you a force that cannot be explained with words, but can be felt in your presence. And that realization stirs respect. Not the forced respect born of fear, but the natural respect that arises when someone recognizes in you a quality they have yet to find in themselves. The choice is in your hands. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this. You hold the power to choose. You can fall into their game and react, or you can demonstrate your greatness by remaining silent. You can become a prisoner of anger, or you can become the master of your own peace. The choice may seem small, but in it lies the foundation of true freedom. And so, I invite you, if this teaching has touched something within you, subscribe now to Unshakable Mindset. Here, you won't just find explanations, you'll find transformations. And more than that, leave a declaration of strength in the comments. Write this simple affirmation: I decide to be the master of my emotions. By writing those words, you're not only making a public declaration, you're sending a clear message to your own soul. From this day forward, you will no longer be controlled by external provocations. Stay with me, because in the coming chapters we'll go even deeper into this path. Silence is only the beginning. What comes next is the building of a mind that nothing in this world can shake. The power of the pause. Pay close attention. Every time you choose not to react immediately to a provocation, you create a precious space within yourself. That space is like a pause between stimulus and response. And within that pause, consciousness awakens, clarity appears, and your soul decides whether it will be a slave to fleeting emotions or the ruler of its own destiny. When we refuse to react impulsively, we allow the fire of anger to burn out, and we let the dust of raw emotion settle. In that silence, wiser choices are born, choices that reflect not the storm of the moment, but the deeper truth of who we are and what we truly want to express. That is the essence of emotional mastery, and it begins with the courage to remain silent when the world demands a reaction. And here's the fascinating part. That pause, your refusal to react, deeply unsettles those who try to destabilize you. They expect the explosion. They expect the counterattack. They expect the reaction that will give them the illusion of power over you. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to let impulse dictate your response, you break the cycle. It's as if you are in a dance where the other person insists on leading, but suddenly you stop moving. That interruption disarms them, it unsettles them, and it reveals a profound truth. You are no longer at the mercy of fleeting emotions. You are in control. Now imagine how this shift can transform your daily interactions. Instead of being seen as someone easily manipulated by emotions, you begin to be recognized as a calm and steady presence. In the eyes of others, you become a rock in the middle of the storm, someone who thinks before acting, someone who does not break easily under pressure. And this transformation is not only about how others see you. More importantly, it transforms the way you experience yourself. When you learn the art of non-reaction, you begin to live with a deep, unshakable peace. The small provocations that used to drain your energy and consume you from within no longer have the same grip. It is as if you have discovered an invisible shield. Attacks may still come, but they can no longer pierce through. You realize then that you can choose your responses, that you can live according to your values rather than being dragged into the theater of someone else's. Emotions, that is freedom, that is strength. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this teaching. Breathe. Do not respond immediately. Allow silence to create space inside you. And when you do speak, if you decide to speak, let your words carry wisdom, not just the heat of a passing anger. Try it. You will see the difference. The respect you receive from others will grow because they will sense that your presence is not shaped by external chaos, but grounded in something solid and deep. This ability, known in Stoic philosophy as the art of non-reaction, is one of the greatest strengths we can cultivate, and every time you practice it, you strengthen your freedom. Self-sufficiency, the path to true freedom. Now, let me take you to another essential point. Have you ever reflected on the freedom that comes from self-sufficiency? Self-sufficiency does not mean isolation. It is not about becoming cold or detached. It means, first and foremost, not depending on the expectations of others in order to exist. It means refusing to become a prisoner of external desires, demands, and opinions that try to dictate the shape of your life. To be self-sufficient is to have roots firmly planted within yourself. It is to build a life on a foundation that does not shake with the winds of circumstance. Imagine this, a garden carefully tended by your own hands. Every plant that grows, every flower that blooms, is the direct result of your effort, your care, your devotion. That garden is the perfect metaphor for your life. When you construct your life with autonomy, through your own choices and actions, everything that flourishes is genuine. Nothing is borrowed. Nothing is fake. That garden reflects not only what you do, but who you are. And here lies the crucial truth. When you achieve this inner independence, people begin to look at you differently. They admire your strength. They respect your freedom. They realize they cannot control you because your energy is not for sale, and your essence cannot be dictated by the expectations of others. This is the freedom Stoicism invites us to cultivate. The freedom of not relying on external validation to feel whole. The freedom of walking through life with serenity, knowing that what you build is authentic, because it comes from within. And when that happens, something extraordinary unfolds. You stop living a life of reactions and start living a life of creation. You are no longer merely responding to the world. You are actively shaping your world. That is the silent revolution that begins within, and once it starts, nothing can take it away from you. An invitation to reflection and strength. So let me ask you, how many times have you allowed yourself to be imprisoned by the expectations of others? How many times have you shaped your choices, not according to your own desires, but according to what others wanted from you? And what if, starting today, you chose a different path? The path of self-sufficiency? What if you decided right now that your life will be the garden cultivated by your own hands? If this reflection has stirred something inside you, then I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to Unshakable Mindset. Here, we walk together through ideas that free, that transform, and that awaken the strength already alive in your soul. And in the comments, leave a declaration of decision. Write, "I choose to live with serenity and freedom." By doing this, you affirm to yourself and to the world that your life will no longer be guided by outside provocations, but by the silent power of your own essence. And stay with me, because in the coming blocks, we will go even deeper. I'll show you other attitudes that not only disarm those who try to diminish you, but more importantly, build within you a fortress that nothing can tear down. The power of self-sufficiency. When you learn to be self-sufficient, something extraordinary happens. You stop accepting treatment that does not match your true worth. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or closing off from the world. Instead, it means recognizing that you don't need anyone to validate your existence or dictate your journey. This shift changes how people see you. Suddenly, you're no longer the one begging for attention, recognition, or affection. You are the one who chooses with whom to share your life. And here's the truth. This unsettles many people. Why? Because those who live on manipulation, control, or diminishing others to feel superior have no power over someone who doesn't need them. The moment they realize your security comes from within, their weapons become useless, their tactics fall apart. And that's exactly what happens. You disarm any attempt at manipulation simply by not needing anyone to feel whole. Being self-sufficient sends a silent but powerful message. I am enough. This message doesn't need to be shouted. It radiates in your gestures, your choices, even in the silences you keep. It is an energy people can feel. They begin to notice that you don't bend under difficulty, that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, and that even when life seems to turn against you, you rise and you continue forward. Think of someone tending a garden with their own hands. Every plant that grows, every flower that blooms, is the result of effort, patience, and care. That garden doesn't depend on external praise to flourish. It exists because it was nurtured with devotion. Your life is the same when you become self-sufficient. Each achievement reflects your effort. Each result is a silent proof of your strength. The subtle difference that changes everything. And here's the most transformative detail. Self-sufficiency does not mean rejecting help. It means knowing with certainty that if you had to, you could walk alone. That's freedom, because when you accept help, it's not out of dependence, but out of choice. You know you can do it, but you prefer to share the journey. And that difference changes everything. It reshapes the quality of your relationships. People want to walk with you, not out of convenience, but out of admiration and respect. Now let's go even further. To be self-sufficient also means to prioritize your mind. Because what good is it to conquer the external world if inside you remain in ruins? In Stoicism, the focus is always on what lies within your control, and your mind is your greatest territory. When you learn to cultivate healthy thoughts, to direct your energy toward what truly matters, and to filter what you allow into your mental space, you gain a freedom that no material possession can ever give you. Protecting the most valuable territory. Picture yourself at a crowded party. The music is loud, the conversations are shallow, everyone is competing for attention. Most people feel pressured to laugh at jokes they don't find funny, to blend in, to play along. But not you. You choose who to talk to. You choose conversations that actually matter. You choose to be truly present in meaningful connections. That doesn't isolate you. On the contrary, it connects you more deeply. Now take that metaphor and apply it to life itself. The effect becomes even more powerful. By prioritizing your mind, you learn to say no without guilt. No to what drains your energy. No to people who disrespect your boundaries. No to situations that only take from you and give nothing in return. That no is not rejection, it is protection. It is how you safeguard your essence and preserve what is most valuable, your focus and your peace. Most people go through life trying to please everyone. They say yes to every invitation, involve themselves in every discussion, and drain their energy in arguments that lead nowhere. But the Stoic understands something essential. Energy is limited, time is limited, and for that very reason, he chooses to invest both only in what strengthens his mind, his life, and his values. This clarity of purpose unsettles those who live adrift, tossed around by every opinion, every demand, every passing impulse. Why? Because it reveals that you possess something rare, self-mastery, And in the end, that is one of the greatest powers you can develop. The union between self-sufficiency and mental clarity. Together, these two forces make you practically unshakable. You don't depend on external approval. You don't waste yourself on distractions. You don't get dragged into the noise of the world. You live with purpose, with focus, with serenity, strength that inspires, without words. The most beautiful part of this posture is that it inspires, not because you shout, not because you force anyone to listen, but simply through people begin to notice that your strength does not come from raising your voice, but from standing firm while everyone else trembles. It doesn't come from imposing yourself through force, but from remaining centered when everyone else is carried away. Self-sufficiency and mental clarity, two stoic pillars that combined make you not only respected but deeply admired. Those who try to devalue you don't know how to deal with someone who refuses to play their game. They expect you to react, to justify yourself endlessly, to be caught in a web of meaningless disputes. But when you stay calm, anchored in what truly matters, it's as if you're playing an entirely different game, one in which they have no chance of winning. The ship with a destination. Picture a ship sailing in open waters. If that ship has no clear destination, then any wind, any current can push it off course. A cruel comment, an unfair criticism, a petty provocation, all of these are enough to throw it off track. But when a ship has a destination set, it sails with determination. The winds may rage, the waves may crash, storms may rise, but the route remains unshaken. That's exactly what happens when you gain clarity about what is essential in your life. You become like that ship with a purpose, sailing with direction, immune to every attempt to push you off course. The peace of focusing on the essential. And here lies another hidden gift. This focus on the essential gives you an inner peace that many people will never know. Because when you stop worrying about trivialities, when you finally learn to say no to what doesn't add value, life becomes lighter. The weight of others' opinions diminishes. Comparisons lose their power. And suddenly, you begin to see beauty in simplicity, in an honest conversation, in a moment of silence, in a genuine gesture. This lightness is rare. And precisely because it's rare, when others notice it in you, they become intrigued, sometimes even disturbed. The wall of serenity. Here's the secret. When you focus on the essential, you become a source of inspiration. People around you begin to recognize your clarity, your stability, and your serenity. They see that you don't get shaken by nonsense, that you don't enter petty rivalries. And that alone makes them respect you. As for those who try to diminish or destabilize you, they are left confused. They expected to pierce your armor, but instead they find a wall of serenity. They ask themselves, how is it possible that none of this gets to him? And that is the moment when you truly begin to stand out. Because while most people are caught up in distractions and provocations, you remain silent, steady, focused only on what matters. This is Stoicism in action. This is inner strength expressed in everyday life. There is a crucial complement to self-sufficiency and mental clarity, the ability to set boundaries. Without them, even the strongest mind eventually gets drained, invaded, and disrespected. Imagine a beautiful beach. The tide line is clear. The water knows exactly how far it can reach, and the sand remains steady, calm, and untouched. Your life should function the same way. Boundaries are not walls to keep people away. Boundaries are healthy borders that preserve your peace, your dignity, and your energy. Respect begins with boundaries. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. Every time you say, "This I accept, this I don't," you declare to the world that your life, your time, and your energy are valuable. People who lack boundaries often end up exploited, walked over, and undervalued. But when you clearly define what is tolerable and what is not, something changes inside you. Self-respect grows, and with it, the respect of others. Think of a garden. If you leave it unprotected, anyone can walk through, step on the flowers, and destroy what took time and care to grow. But when you put a fence around it, you're not pushing the world away. You're protecting what is precious, making sure your effort isn't wasted. The same applies to your mind and your emotions. Boundaries protect them, silent but powerful. Here's the key. Boundaries don't need to be shouted. They don't need to be imposed with anger. Often, they are silent, but firm, a calm no, an intentional absence from places that drain your energy, a choice not to respond to provocations. Each of these is the practice of boundary setting, and this posture gradually teaches even your harshest critics that you are not to be toyed with, that your life is not open terrain for manipulation or invasion. When you live with clear purpose and firm boundaries, you send a silent but powerful message. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know how far I allow others to go. And that alone unsettles many people, because deep down, those who try to devalue you can't stand seeing someone who has found strength within themselves, someone they cannot control. What Stoicism teaches about boundaries. And this is precisely what Stoicism teaches us. Life is not about controlling others, but about controlling ourselves. It's not about stopping the sea from rising, but about learning to navigate it. It's not about fighting those who trample your garden, but about building strong fences that keep your flowers alive. Focusing on the essential, combined with setting clear boundaries, is like carrying invisible weapons, silent but immensely powerful. They don't need screams, fights, or endless justifications. They speak on their own. And when you live by them, you don't just transform your own life, you redefine how the world sees you. The inner transformation of saying no. Setting boundaries is not just a practical action, it's an inner transformation. Many people live believing they must always be available, always giving in, always adjusting to others' desires. They do this out of fear of rejection, hunger for approval, or the mistaken belief that love means self-erasure. But the cost of this is devastating: exhaustion, resentment, and the slow loss of identity. When you finally learn to say no, when you decide to preserve your peace and your time, two of the most precious resources you will ever have, something extraordinary happens. The world reorganizes around you. People who once crossed your boundaries without hesitation begin to realize they must change their behavior because you are no longer open ground for invasion. You become a person who naturally commands respect. And notice this: true respect is not demanded with shouting, it is earned with clarity. By setting consistent, firm boundaries, you send a silent but unmistakable message. I know my worth. I know where I stand. I know what I accept and what I refuse. This clarity unsettles those who are used to exploiting your weaknesses, but at the same time, it attracts and elevates those who are mature enough to walk beside you. The most fascinating part about setting boundaries is the sense of control it awakens in you. Perhaps a control you've never felt before. Suddenly, you're no longer a hostage to other people's expectations. You begin to consciously choose where to invest your energy, with whom to spend your time, and which battles are worth fighting. This freedom is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is a form of confidence rooted not in ego, but in lucidity. And don't be mistaken, saying no is not selfishness. On the contrary, it is one of the greatest acts of self-love you can practice. Because when you respect yourself, when you tend to your inner garden and protect your most delicate flowers, you also become better for others. Only those who set clear boundaries can offer genuine love, because they give not from exhaustion, but from abundance. Becoming an example. There is something even deeper here. When you set boundaries, you become a living example. People around you begin to realize that it is possible to live in alignment with oneself. They see that it is possible to choose authentically, to live fully without being enslaved by external pressure. Your posture becomes a source of inspiration. So reflect for a moment. What boundaries have you not yet established? Where have you allowed others to invade your space, to devalue your time, to steal your energy? The courage to draw a clear line today can completely transform not only how you see yourself, but also how the world perceives you. If you've ever felt the heavy burden of saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no, then you already know what I mean. Now imagine the relief of finally saying the right word at the right moment and feeling your soul at peace because you did not betray yourself. That is the transformative power of boundaries. The silent ally, time. But the journey doesn't end there. Alongside boundaries, there is another silent ally that strengthens anyone seeking serenity and inner power: time. Time is one of the wisest forces in existence, and yet modern life has taught us to despise it. We rush, we grow anxious, we demand instant results. We get frustrated when answers don't arrive immediately. We want the tree to bear fruit on the same day we plant it. But Stoicism, and every school of deep psychology, teaches us something different. Time is not the enemy. Time is the ally. Think about nature. A tree does not rush to grow. It sends roots deep into the soil first, before it dares to stretch branches toward the sky, and no one can accelerate this process. You can water it, you can care for it, but you cannot force the seed to bloom before its season. The same is true in your life. Every silence, every pause, every season of waiting carries within it invisible work. While you see nothing happening on the surface, something profound is being prepared underneath. When you understand this wisdom, you begin to look at external pressure with different eyes. Those who try to rush you, to push you, to corner you into quick decisions, they lose their power in front of your calm. Because you know, everything has its own time. Every process has its season. It is not the noise of the world that sets your rhythm. It is the natural flow of your own maturity. And here lies the secret. This understanding confuses those who try to manipulate you. They cannot handle someone who refuses to be dragged into their artificial urgency. They want you to react in the heat of emotion, to make reckless choices, to shrink under their pressure. But when you pause, breathe, observe, and allow time to fulfill its role, you demonstrate a strength that transcends any attempt at control. Time, just like boundaries, becomes an invisible wall protecting your peace. It teaches you that not every battle must be fought in haste. Not every accusation requires a defense. Not every challenge demands an immediate response. Time itself will reveal who you are. And now, I invite you to a simple but powerful exercise. Write in the comments, "I choose to respect my time and my boundaries." Let this be your declaration, not just to the world, but to yourself. This simple act of writing down your commitment to respect your time and your boundaries strengthens something inside you. It is more than just words. It becomes a declaration, a reminder that your peace is sacred, and when you live by it, you inspire others to do the same. And if you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, Unshakable Mindset. Here, every reflection is an invitation to discover the strength that already exists within your psyche, strength that may simply be waiting for the right season to bloom. Just like the tree that grows silently, unshaken through the changing seasons and storms, the human being can also learn to flourish without haste, rooted deeply in their own essence. The tree does not rush to bear fruit. It knows, silently, that every season has its time. That is how it becomes strong, unshakable, and majestic. This is the call of Stoicism, to understand that time is not an enemy to be conquered, but a faithful ally, an ally capable of transforming adversity into strength and patience into power. When someone tries to provoke you, pushing for an immediate reaction, notice how your serenity unsettles. At them, the world screams for urgency, for instant results, for decisions made in the heat of emotion, but the one who knows how to wait, who gives time its rightful space, reveals a rare and transformative strength. Using time as your ally is not passivity. On the contrary, it is deliberate action. It is the choice not to be enslaved by impulse, but to become master of your own destiny. It is like a game of chess. Every move is thoughtful, every pause is strategic, every decision guided by clarity. How many times have you rushed into a decision only to regret it later? Now imagine if in those very moments you had given yourself more space, if you had breathed deeply, reflected, and allowed time to filter the noise of emotion. Perhaps you would have seen a different path, a wiser, lighter path. This is the power of time. It reveals what haste conceals. Patience as strength. The Stoic understands that to act out of impulse is to surrender to chance. To act with reflection, however, is to build a solid destiny. At first, people may misinterpret your patience. They may think you are hesitant, indecisive, or weak. But as the days unfold, they begin to see the truth. Your serenity is not weakness, it is strength. Your stillness is not inertia, it is strategy. Your calm is not absence of response, it is the certainty that the right response will come at the right moment. And here lies the beauty of this teaching. When you allow time to work on your behalf, those who try to devalue you, pressure you, or pull you down eventually grow frustrated. They cannot find the reaction they expected. Your calm disarms them. Your patience silences them. Your resilience unsettles them. You become like the tree that grows, slowly, silently, until no wind is strong enough to tear it from its roots. Time as teacher. This attitude does not weaken you. It strengthens every aspect of your being. Time transforms into both teacher and ally, revealing opportunities and solutions that would have gone unnoticed in haste. By cultivating serenity, you demonstrate to the world that your patience is not surrender, it is mastery. Your calm is not resignation, it is wisdom. Now reflect with me. What would your life look like if you gave more space to time? If instead of reacting in desperation, you gifted yourself the conscious act of waiting? Imagine lighter relationships, firmer choices, clearer paths. This simple shift could change not only your decisions, but the way you see yourself, and the way you see the world. So here is my invitation. Write in the comments, I choose to trust time. Because when you declare this, you are not only speaking words, you are planting in your mind a new way of living, confident, serene, and rooted, like the tree that grows in silence. Preparing for gratitude. If this reflection has touched your heart, subscribe now to Unshakable Mindset. Together, we walk this path of self-discovery, drawing from psychology, Stoicism, and the timeless wisdom of life. Every video is an invitation to grow stronger, to see differently, to live more deeply. And before we close this block, carry this image with you. Every moment of calm is like watering the roots of your inner tree. The patience you cultivate today will be the shade and the fruit that sustain you tomorrow. In the next block, we will dive into one of the most transformative Stoic principles, the art of gratitude. Not superficial gratitude, not words spoken without feeling, but gratitude capable of disarming criticism, dissolving resentment, and opening space for an even greater inner strength. Prepare yourself, because this is one of the most powerful tools you can ever learn to cultivate. Gratitude, the silent key. There is a silent key capable of transforming the way you engage with the world. Gratitude. Many see it as delicate, fragile, or almost naive. Yet in truth, gratitude is one of the most powerful weapons the human spirit can wield. When you begin to cultivate genuine gratitude, something almost magical happens. Your perspective expands. You start to see not just what is lacking, but what is already present, what sustains you, what nourishes your life quietly. Even in the face of those who attempt to diminish you, gratitude reveals an unexpected path. Transforming criticism. Consider this. Someone criticizes you, hoping to provoke anger, resentment, or weakness. They want to shake you. But instead, you take a deep breath and respond, "Thank you for sharing your perspective. I'll reflect on it." Suddenly, the one who expected to see you fall is met with serenity. The weapon they raise dissolves in their own hands. What was meant to be an attack becomes powerless in the face of your gratitude. This is the beauty of a strengthened mind. It does not react, it transforms. And gratitude is the alchemy of that transformation. Gratitude is a daily practice. Do not be mistaken. Gratitude is not just polite words or a clever shield. It is, above all, a practice, a way of living. Upon waking, be thankful for the simple gift of life, the air filling your lungs, the warmth of your morning coffee, the friendly glance that crosses your path. By recognizing these small gifts, your energy changes. You stop being a prisoner of absence and become a guardian of the abundance already present in your life. When your energy shifts, those around you notice. They feel it. Something within them also changes. You become a source of calm, a mirror showing others that a different way of living is possible. Even those who attempt to undermine you are confused. They discover their criticisms no longer affect you. Their words seem to vanish into the wind, powerless against the fortress you have built within. Building an inner fortress. This fortress is not made of cold walls, but of a solid foundation of gratitude. Each time you give thanks, you lay a brick. Each time you choose to see the good instead of dwelling on what is missing, you strengthen the walls of your inner structure. Eventually, no criticism, negativity, or provocation can penetrate it. Pause for a moment and reflect. Think of a time when you were unfairly criticized. Perhaps you felt anger, frustration, or sadness. Now, imagine responding in that moment with, "Thank you for your perspective. I'll consider what you said." Do you see the difference? This calm, grounded response not only protects you, but disarms the one who tried to attack. Gratitude as silent strength. Moreover, this attitude commands respect. Those around you perceive that you are not easily shaken, that you have deep roots and a firm foundation. Gratitude becomes the silent language of your inner strength. Over time, you notice how gratitude changes not just your relationships, but the way you face life. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable are seen as lessons. Challenges that once brought despair become paths of growth. This is the true power of gratitude. It doesn't just shift your feelings, it reshapes how you perceive the world. Gratitude is not denial. Practicing gratitude does not mean ignoring problems or pretending all is well. On the contrary, it means seeing the whole picture, acknowledging what is difficult, but also what is beautiful, embracing what hurts, but also what strengthens. It is a wider, deeper, more human vision. And here is what I want you to carry with you now. The next time someone tries to bring you down with harsh words, pause, smile inwardly, and respond with gratitude, not for them, but for yourself. In this simple act, you protect your peace, strengthen your serenity, and declare to the world that no one can steal your light. I would like you to write in the comments the phrase, "My strength is gratitude." This statement is not just symbolic, it is a commitment to your own mind. When you declare it in words, you also plant this certainty in your subconscious. Gratitude is your defense, your fortress, your path to freedom. And remember, if this content is bringing you clarity and inspiration, if it is helping you see new ways to deal with life, subscribe now to the channel Mentalidade Inabalável. This community exists to support your process of growth and self-knowledge. Here, we explore together the principles that strengthen the mind and spirit, helping you become unshakable in the face of challenges. In the next segment, we will dive into another essential virtue of Stoicism and deep psychological life: resilience. How can we face obstacles that seem insurmountable? How can we not only withstand them, but grow stronger through difficulties? Get ready, because what comes next can radically change the way you approach the challenges in your life. Resilience is one of the most essential strengths we can cultivate. It is not just the ability to survive adversity, but the capacity to grow through it, to transform every challenge into an opportunity to reveal to the world and to yourself the depth of your own value. Imagine a river flowing through the mountains. It encounters stones, logs, unexpected falls, but it continues. It navigates around obstacles, adapts to the terrain, and keeps its course until it reaches its destination. This is Stoic resilience. It does not ignore problems, it does not pretend they do not exist. It recognizes every difficulty, adapts to it, and keeps flowing, learning from each experience. In life, you often encounter people who do not recognize your value, who try to underestimate or demotivate you. Feeling frustration or discouragement is natural, but Stoic resilience teaches us to hold our heads high, to remember that our value does not depend on the approval of others, but on the perception we have of ourselves and the continuous effort we invest in our actions. Every obstacle overcome, every challenge faced is a silent proof of your inner strength, something no one, absolutely no one, can take away from you. This serene strength confuses those who try to destabilize you. They expect you to falter, to give up, to show signs of weakness. But when they encounter your firm calm, your ability to move forward regardless of circumstances, they realize their efforts are in vain. Your resilience becomes your greatest weapon. You're not just resilient, you are unbreakable. However, resilience is not developed overnight. It is built day by day, through conscious choices to face challenges with courage, serenity, and presence. Every difficult moment is a hidden opportunity. Every obstacle is a chance to strengthen not only the mind, but also the spirit. The more you practice resilience, the deeper your emotional roots grow, and the more unshakable your stance in life becomes. And alongside resilience arises another powerful virtue, honesty. But not just any honesty. I'm talking about direct, straightforward honesty that does not attempt to soften the truth to please. This stoic transparency is an incredibly powerful tool to disarm criticism and earn respect. When you practice brutal honesty, with care but with firmness, you are showing the world that you have nothing to hide. Your word becomes trustworthy, your presence solid and secure. People around you perceive that they can rely on you, that there are no games, manipulations, or falsehoods. Your authenticity becomes evident in every gesture, decision, and word. And this clarity generates respect, admirably silent and profound. Combine resilience and honesty, and you have an almost unshakable foundation, a character capable of facing storms without losing composure, a presence that asserts itself not through noise or aggression, but through internal balance and integrity. Life will inevitably place challenges before you, and often those who do not understand your value will try to test you. But with resilience and honesty as guides, you remain steadfast. Every obstacle overcome is not just a personal victory, it is a symbol to the world that you cannot be manipulated, devalued, or intimidated. And every act of honesty, even if uncomfortable for others, reaffirms your authenticity, your strength, and your ability to uphold your own truth. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what challenges have you been facing without allowing them to strengthen your resilience? Where could you practice more honesty with yourself and with others? Write in the comments the phrase, "I choose to be resilient and honest," to reinforce this commitment in your life. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel Mentalidade Inabalável. Each video here is an invitation to discover the strength within yourself, learning to walk with courage, clarity, and serenity, even in the face of life's greatest challenges. In the next and final segment, we will gather all these lessons: silence, focus, boundaries, gratitude, resilience, and honesty, and show how to apply them to transform not only your relationships, but also the way you see and live your own existence. Prepare yourself, because the conclusion will bring a powerful and profound synthesis that will inspire immediate action in your life. Throughout this journey, we have explored principles that transform the mind, the spirit, and the way we relate to the world. Today, we reach the pinnacle, the practice of honesty, transparency, and integrity, not just as isolated virtues, but as the synthesis of all the Stoic teachings we've discussed: silence, focus, boundaries, gratitude, resilience, and inner courage. Imagine an everyday situation. You made a mistake. The natural instinct would be to justify, minimize, or even ignore it. But the Stoic chooses a different path. He says, "Yes, I was wrong. Here is what I am doing to correct it." This stance is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is the deepest demonstration of strength. Acknowledging your mistakes, taking responsibility, and acting to correct them disarms criticism before it is even expressed. It shows maturity, emotional control, and above all, respect for yourself and others. People naturally respect those who are able to admit their faults and work to overcome them. The same honesty also applies to recognizing the merit of others. When you give genuine praise, without exaggeration, without hidden agendas, you build solid relationships. Each sincere compliment is a brick on the bridge of trust connecting you to others. And this trust is a silent power, capable of transforming how the world perceives you. Living transparently requires courage. You must face uncomfortable truths, accept constructive criticism, and remain steadfast in your values. But this courage is rewarded with something many people seek their entire lives: authenticity and lightness. When you no longer need to maintain appearances, when you no longer need to lie to please, your mind becomes clear, your path more illuminated, and your life gains purpose. Being brutally honest does not mean being insensitive or rude. The key is in your intention. Your honesty should come from a place of respect, a genuine desire for growth, for yourself and those around you. When this intention is clear, people perceive and receive your words with admiration and trust. You become someone who inspires, someone whose character is reliable, someone who does not bow to superficiality or convenience. Moreover, honesty strengthens your self-confidence. When you know that you are living according to your values with nothing to hide, you feel secure, integral, and coherent. This security is reflected in every step, every gesture, every decision. You walk with your head held high, aware that you are being true to yourself, not to the whims or expectations of others. In a professional context, this virtue becomes even more powerful. Leaders who practice transparency gain the loyalty and respect of their teams. They create environments of clarity where communication flows, objectives are understood, and everyone knows exactly where they are and where they are going. This clarity generates efficiency, trust, and exceptional results. Honesty, therefore, is not just an ethical choice, it is a practical tool to transform lives, relationships, and organizations. Now, connecting everything we have learned in the previous segments, strategic silence protects your peace and confuses those who try to provoke you. Focus on what matters keeps your path firm and unshakable. Clear boundaries preserve your energy and value your time. Gratitude transforms negativity into strength. Resilience allows you to face any challenge with courage. And finally, honesty makes your character unquestionable. Each of these virtues, when applied consistently, creates a complete, balanced, unshakable person. And you can start now. Today, at this very moment, choose to become the strongest and most conscious version of yourself. Choose to breathe before reacting, to give thanks even in the face of difficulties, to set your boundaries clearly, to focus on what truly matters, to face obstacles with courage, and above all, to live transparently and authentically. If this video has brought you clarity, inspiration, or provoked reflection, make your mark. Write in the comments, "I choose to be unshakable." Share your decision, show that you are committed to your own growth. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel Mentalidade Inabalável. Leave a like and turn on notifications. Each subscription strengthens this community, which seeks to evolve, reflect, and transform lives through deep psychology and applied Stoicism. Remember, the journey of self-knowledge does not end here. Every challenge, every relationship, every choice is an opportunity to practice these virtues, to become more conscious, more resilient, more authentic. Walk firmly, but with serenity. Grow, but with humility. Observe, but without attachment. And above all, be true to yourself. We'll see each other in the next video, my friends, to continue exploring the power of self-knowledge, awareness, and inner strength. Until then, remember, your mind, your spirit, and your life can become unshakable. You just need to decide, choose, and act.